We are less than 2 weeks away from the moment at which Daniel Snyder should forever exit our consciousness as NFL fans. July 20 is the date on which owners will meet for a special gathering to vote on the sale of the Washington Commanders from Daniel Snyder to Josh Harris, the group led by Josh Harris. Josh Harris has a bunch of limited partners because he doesn't have the funds, and not many do, to just write a check for the whole thing, $6.05 billion. So what happens after Snyder sells the Commanders? What does he do? He's got $6.05 billion. Does he just fade away? Does he float around on his super yacht? Does he fade into Mike Tyson-esque Bolivian? What does he do? Does he find a way to stay in the public eye? Does he get involved in other sports? Would any other sport have him? We haven't thought about that. And I'll be completely candid. I hadn't thought of it either until somebody mentioned to me something that is kind of percolating out there that I have yet to fully nail down to the point where I feel comfortable reporting it. But it put on my radar screen this very simple question of what happens next for Daniel Snyder. We just assume we'll never have to deal with him again. We just assume we're never going to hear his name again. We just assume he's going to walk away off into the sunset with his $6.05 billion and never come back. I don't know. I wouldn't assume anything when it comes to Daniel Snyder. So keep that in mind as we pivot toward this new reality of the Commanders that presumably is going to result in a new stadium somewhere in Virginia or Maryland or maybe even in D.C. There's looming federal legislation that would allow D.C. to construct a stadium on the site of the still standing RFK stadium that would be torn down and a new venue put there, and the feds own the land, but DC would have a lease that would run through like 2137 or something ridiculous like that. So that's one possibility. And the reality is, as Snyder walks away, more of these politicians are willing to work with Josh Harris. How long of a honeymoon period will there be for Josh Harris, for the Commanders under Josh Harris? How many years of mediocrity will fans tolerate before they start saying, boy, I wish somebody else would have bought the team? And I don't want to go there prematurely, but I think these are fair considerations because the euphoria that will accompany the final exit of Dan Snyder, it's not going to last forever. That was an issue that came up earlier this week when we were talking about a team finally wins its first Super Bowl. What next? How long do the fumes of that last? And for Washington fans, they got to be feeling like they won a Super Bowl by getting rid of Daniel Snyder. But if new ownership doesn't get them any closer to a Super Bowl, at some point they're going to say, what did we really get here? Yeah, we have fewer embarrassments emanating from the top of the organization, but at the same time, the team's not really any better. We'll see if that happens. But again, the fact that there's some financial issues that need to be ironed out, and it's not as simple as saying, how much is it? $6.05 billion? Here's the check. The fact that it's this coalition of investors and they've got to make the paperwork and the financial aspects work a certain way. If I'm a Commanders fan, I'm much more comfortable if the person who owns the team has the money to buy whatever he or she wants to buy, whenever, however, because that also applies to free agents and structuring of deals and cash flow for signing bonuses. And how aggressive can you be with the money necessary to have the best possible team?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.